Fast Track Pre-CNA Healthcare Training. You have taken the first step in pursuing a rewarding career opportunity in healthcare by deciding to enroll in the Southwest ABE Fast Track Pre-CNA program. Congratulations! Just like any other educational program, there are things that are required of students in order for them to be successful. So students can keep track of their requirements that need to be completed prior to the college portion of the CNA class starting. We have developed a checklist to follow. Please take a moment before we get started and print the following information to use as a reference throughout this presentation. Marks registration, pre-CNA checklist, career scope, Minnesota Works Online, creative job search, create a resume, ABE registration, Minnesota West and workforce applications, and consent for release of private information. Push pause now. Now that you have a copy of the checklist and other information needed, let's begin. The Marks registration is required to be completed by each potential CNA student. This form is also required of any ABE program participant. The Marks registration, when completed, should be returned to the ABE office. An example of the completed form is on the right. Now, let's look at the pre-CNA healthcare training checklist. Assessments are required for each student in the areas of math, reading, and computer. As these assessments are completed, students can check them off their list. Assignments will be given to individuals as needed to increase math, reading, or computer skills. Our goal is to help everyone who comes through the program to be a successful, well-rounded student and future employee. Orientation to the Distant Learning Program Learner Web, which introduces students to the healthcare profession and helps to enhance computer skills, and Skills Tutor, which is used to increase math skills, is done by ABE instructors. These two distant learning programs allow students to complete required assignments around their schedules, as Learner Web and Skills Tutor can be accessed anywhere there is a computer and internet connection. Healthcare content assignments that are required to be completed using Learner Web are pre-CNA, computer, and medical office. Assignments should be checked off as they are completed. Skills Tutor will be assigned on an individual basis by the ABE instructor. All assignments on Learner Web and Skills Tutor are required to be completed. The Career Scope Assessment is done by Minnesota West Technical College. The ABE instructor will forward the email address provided by the student to the Minnesota West Campus Student Services Advisor. Each student will receive an email from the Student Services Advisor with a username and password, along with instructions on how to access and complete the Career Scope Assessment. If the student has not received this information in 4 to 5 business days, they should contact the ABE office for further assistance at 507-537-7046. A copy of the assessment summary, usually about 5 pages at the end of the assessment, is required for the student's ABE file as proof of completion. To utilize workforce resources, students are required to register online for Minnesota Works and become familiar with this job search tool. See the first page of the printout on the right and follow the directions to complete the registration. Students will need to create a username and password to access this site. Students should be sure to keep track of their login information so they can access the Minnesota Works website for job searching and to post their resume, both now and in the future. Additional personal help, if needed, is available at your local workforce center. Creative Job Search is taught by the Workforce Center, and registration for this class needs to be done online. The first page of this document is on the right. Follow the instructions to complete the registration process. I'm going to say it again. Sure. Follow the instructions to complete the registration process. Students will also need the username and password they created for access to the Minnesota Works website to complete the Creative Job Search registration. A good, functional, up-to-date resume is required of each student. Examples of resumes tailored to CNA can be found in the document you printed previously, and the first page should look like the one on the right. Students should have their resumes critiqued by someone at the Workforce Center, and that information is also included in the printout. A copy of the student's completed resume is required for their ABE file. Students should also consider posting their resume on the Minnesota Works website. Background checks are required to be completed on all students interested in participating in the CNA program. $20 in cash is requested and should be paid to the ABE office for the background check. The form needed to complete a background check is included in the Minnesota West application. That will be explained as part of the CNA application registration process. As part of the application and registration process, there are 3 different forms that are required to be completed. They are the ABE registration and the Minnesota West and Workforce applications, copies of which you should have previously printed. See examples of the first page of each one. Each document should be filled out legibly and completely. Take your time. There are specific instructions that need to be followed when completing the Minnesota West application. The first page must be filled out completely. Again, take your time. This is not a race. If a student has a middle name, it should be listed. If no middle name, the space should be marked no middle name or NA. Fill out the rest of the questions on the first page to the best of your knowledge. Missing information can hold up the application process, and as a result, the student could lose their class spot to someone else. Look at the examples provided closely. Pages 2, 3, and 4 of the Minnesota West application only need the student's signature at the bottom of each page. The background check portion of the application must be filled out completely with no errors and in black ink. Be sure not to miss any of the questions. Before the bubbles are filled in, write the requested information above it. See the examples provided for further direction. The workforce application should be completed by the student to the best of their ability. See the first page at the right. The ABE registration, Minnesota West and workforce applications should be returned to the ABE office as soon as they are completed. Completion of these forms is critical if one wishes to be considered as a candidate for the college portion of the CNA class. Each student will be required to present their driver's license or state ID and Social Security card. A copy of each is needed for their file. The consent for release of private information document should have been printed previously. Each student is asked to complete this release and a signed copy given to ABE for their file. An interview with the instructor will be scheduled at a later time. All students are required to post-test in either math or reading to show growth and progress. A date and time will be set aside for students to complete this requirement. An employer recommendation letter or certificate will be available to students upon successful completion of the pre-healthcare checklist and the CNA college course. The employer recommendation letter or certificate may be used in addition to the student's resume and other references as they apply for jobs. This can be an added plus in helping the student to stand out from other potential CNA job applicants. Any questions regarding the checklist and its completion can be answered by contacting the ABE office. Remember that all of the checklist items are required to be completed in order to be considered for the next step in the CNA training program. Again, thank you for your interest in being a part of the Fast Track CNA program. We look forward to helping make a difference in your future. Remember, success is yours for the taking.